Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her weathered face illuminated by the holographic display showing the devastation of the Centauri colonies. 3 worlds, once thriving with millions of inhabitants, now silent as tombs. No signs of battle, no debris fields, no radiation signatures, just empty cities and dead worlds. This makes 17 civilizations in the past standard year, she said, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. The Nexari Empire claims innocence, but our deep space probes tell a different story. They're testing something. Something that leaves no traces, no survivors, and no witnesses. The council chamber, buried 2 kilometers beneath the Himalayan mountains, fell silent. Humanity had avoided direct conflict with the Nexari Empire since first contact 30 years ago. They were methodical expansionists, consuming smaller civilizations through economic pressure and cultural assimilation rather than military might. But this was different. We've intercepted quantum communications between their command ships, Chen continued, bringing up a new display. Our linguistics AI has decoded enough to confirm our worst fears. They call it the Void Cascade. A weapon that collapses the quantum field sustaining organic life, leaving infrastructure intact for their colonization efforts. Counselor Rodriguez leaned forward, his ancient eyes narrowing. And you believe Earth is next? No, Chen replied, allowing herself a grim smile. I believe we're last. They're perfecting their weapon on smaller civilizations before attempting to neutralize humanity. Our military strength concerns them, but they've found a way to bypass it entirely. The council erupted in discussions, fear and anger coloring their voices. Chen waited patiently until Counselor Zhang raised her hand for silence. You have a solution, Admiral? Chen nodded, gesturing to her aide. The holographic display shifted to show a sleek vessel unlike anything in Earth's fleet. Where most human warships were brutal wedges of armor and weapons, this ship was elegant, almost organic in its curves. The Ghost Dawn, Chen announced. A prototype vessel incorporating everything we've learned about Nexari technology, plus a few innovations they haven't imagined. While they've been perfecting ways to kill, we've been perfecting ways to survive. The ship specifications scrolled past: quantum entangled drive systems, neural-linked crew interfaces, metamaterial hull plating that could bend light and other forms of detection around its surface. But the real breakthrough was its heart, the Lazarus core. The Void Cascade works by disrupting the quantum field that sustains organic life, Chen explained. The Lazarus core generates a counterfield, not only protecting the ship and crew but potentially capable of neutralizing their weapon entirely. One ship, carrying the right technology, in the right place. One ship against an empire. Counselor Rodriguez scoffed. Even with these advances, it's suicide. The Nexari don't expect resistance, Chen countered. They believe their weapon makes them invincible. More importantly, they don't know we've discovered it. The Ghost Dawn isn't designed for traditional combat, it's designed to be invisible, untraceable, and absolutely lethal when it strikes. She brought up another display, showing the command structure of the Nexari Empire. Their entire civilization is built on precision and control. Remove the right components, and the entire system crashes. We don't need a fleet. We need a scalpel. The council chamber fell silent again, but this time the silence had a different quality. Hope, mixed with determination. Who would crew such a vessel? Zhang asked. Captain Maya Patel, Chen replied without hesitation. Former quantum physicist, decorated Special Operations Commander. She understands both the science and the strategy. Her crew is already selected, the best minds and warriors Earth has to offer. The council members exchanged glances. They all knew what was at stake. Humanity had survived countless challenges, grown stronger through adversity. But this threat was different. It wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about protecting the very concept of life itself. How soon can the Ghost Dawn be ready? Rodriguez asked, his earlier skepticism replaced by grim determination. 3 weeks, Chen replied. We've been building her in secret for the past year, ever since we first detected anomalies in the Centauri sector. She's nearly complete. Zhang nodded slowly. And if this fails? Then humanity falls knowing we tried, Chen said firmly. But I don't believe we'll fail. The Nexari understand control, dominance, and fear. They don't understand humanity's greatest strength, our ability to face impossible odds and find a way through. The vote was unanimous. Within hours, the Ghost Dawn project moved from theoretical to operational status. As Chen left the council chamber, she received the first report from the ship's construction facility. Captain Patel was already aboard, running preliminary systems checks with her crew. The admiral smiled, remembering an ancient quote, "The universe has no obligation to make sense to you." Humanity had learned that lesson well, but they'd also learned another: the universe had no obligation to bend to your will either. The Nexari were about to learn that lesson the hard way. The Ghost Dawn would launch in 3 weeks, carrying with it humanity's best hope for survival. One ship, one crew, against an empire that had never known defeat. But as Chen had learned through decades of service, sometimes the most powerful weapon wasn't the largest or the most destructive, it was the one the enemy never saw coming. The Ghost Dawn slipped through the darkness between stars, its quantum-entangled drive leaving no trace in normal space. Captain Maya Patel sat in the neural command chair, her consciousness merged with the ship's systems. Through the direct neural interface, she felt every subtle vibration, every minor fluctuation in the ship's sophisticated systems. Approaching the Nexari border outpost, reported Lieutenant Kai Santos, his fingers dancing across the quantum-encrypted controls. 3 patrol vessels detected, standard sweep pattern. Maya didn't respond immediately, instead feeling through the Ghost Dawn sensors. The Nexari ships were impressive, crystalline structures that pulsed with internal energy, their hulls embedded with sensor arrays that could detect a single atom out of place in normal space. But they weren't looking for what they couldn't imagine. Status of the Lazarus core, she asked, her voice barely above a whisper though it wasn't necessary. The ship's internal communications were carried through quantum channels, undetectable by conventional means. Dr. Elena Volkova's reply came from engineering: "Core is stable, Captain. Counterfield is masking our quantum signature perfectly. To their sensors, we're just another piece of the vacuum." The Ghost Dawn's mission was simple in concept, near impossible in execution: infiltrate Nexari space, locate their Void Cascade development facilities, and destroy their capability to produce the weapon. But first, they needed intelligence, and that meant getting close to their command and control centers. Multiple quantum communication bursts detected, reported Communications Officer James Chen. They're coordinating something. His augmented consciousness sifted through the encrypted transmissions. Wait, they're preparing for a test. Maya's heart rate spiked, but her neural implants automatically adjusted her body's response. Show me. The ship's holographic display materialized, showing a small solar system at the edge of Nexari space. A colony world of the Vestra, a species known for their peaceful nature and advanced biotechnology. Population, approximately 3 million. They're going to test the Void Cascade there, Maya realized, her augmented mind calculating possibilities. How long? 8 hours until optimal positioning, James replied. Maya felt the weight of command pressing down on her. Their mission parameters were clear: observe, gather intelligence, avoid detection. Engaging now could compromise everything. But 3 million lives. Dr. Volkova, theoretical question, Maya said, her mind already formulating a plan. The Lazarus core generates a counterfield to the Void Cascade. Could we extend that field to protect a planet? There was a pause, filled with rapid calculations. Not the whole planet, Captain. The power requirements would be impossible. But, we might be able to protect a significant area. Maybe enough to save the major population centers, if we positioned ourselves precisely. And remain undetected? That's the beautiful part, Elena replied, excitement creeping into her voice. The void cascade operates on quantum principles. Our counterfield would appear to them as a natural quantum fluctuation, causing a partial weapon failure. They might not even realize it was intentional. Maya processed this, her augmented mind running through scenarios. It was a risk, any interference could alert the Nexari that someone had developed countermeasures to their weapon. But the intelligence they could gather from observing the weapon's deployment up close. Plot a course to the Vestra colony, she ordered. We'll position ourselves in the upper atmosphere, directly above the capital city. Lieutenant Santos, I want a detailed analysis of Nexari patrol patterns. We'll need to thread the needle. The next 7 hours were a symphony of precision. The Ghost Dawn moved through Nexari security networks like a ghost through walls, its metamaterial hull bending light and sensor readings around it. They watched as the Nexari vessels arrived, sleek, crystalline ships that took up position around the planet. Maya felt a cold fury as she observed their methodical preparations. The Nexari weren't cruel in the conventional sense, they simply didn't register other species as truly alive. To them, this was pest control on a galactic scale. Void cascade charging, James reported, his voice tight. Energy readings are massive. Lazarus core at full power, Elena confirmed. Counterfield established over the capital region. We should be able to protect about 30% of the population. Maya watched through the ship's sensors as the Nexari weapon powered up. The void cascade effect was beautiful in a terrifying way, a ripple in the quantum fabric of space itself, spreading out like a wave of unbeing. Impact in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The wave hit. Maya felt it through the ship's sensors, a fundamental wrongness that made her augmented mind recoil. But the Lazarus core held, its counterfield creating a bubble of stability in the quantum chaos. Below them, in the protected zone, millions of Vestra continued to exist, unaware of how close they had come to extinction. In the unprotected regions, empty cities stood as silent testimonies to the weapon's power. Data collection complete, James reported quietly. We have full readings on the weapon's operational parameters. Multiple quantum bursts from Nexari command ships, Kai added. They're confused. Trying to determine why the weapon partially failed. Maya allowed herself a grim smile. Send all data to Earth Command, encrypted quantum burst. Then plot a course deeper into Nexari space. We know their weapon works. Now we need to find where they're building it. As the Ghost Dawn slipped away from the Vestra colony, Maya recorded a log entry, first contact with Void Cascade confirmed. Partial defense successful. But the cost? She paused, looking at the sensor readings of the empty cities. The cost is still too high. We need to find a permanent solution. The ship accelerated silently through space, its quantum drive leaving no trace. Behind them, the Nexari ships continued their analysis, unaware that their perfect weapon had just encountered its first real opposition. And unaware that humanity's response was already deep in their territory, learning, adapting, and preparing to strike back. The real war was just beginning. 3 days after the Vestra incident, the Ghost Dawn orbited a Nexari manufacturing hub, masked by its quantum shroud. Captain Maya Patel studied the massive industrial complexes below through the ship's advanced sensors, her neural interface processing the enormous amount of data streaming in. They're not even trying to hide it anymore, Dr. Elena Volkova muttered, analyzing the energy signatures. 6 void cascade production facilities, all operating at maximum capacity. The evidence was damning. What had started as a secret weapon was becoming an industrial-scale genocide machine. The Nexari were preparing for something big, something that would reshape the galaxy in their image. New transmission intercepted, James Chen announced suddenly. Priority quantum burst from their central command. Captain, You need to see this. The decoded message materialized in Maya's augmented vision. As she read it, her artificial neural regulators struggled to contain her shock. They're accelerating their timeline. The partial failure at Vestra has them concerned. They're planning to strike 12 systems simultaneously in the next 48 hours. The command deck fell silent. 12 systems. Billions of lives. We can't protect them all, Kai Santo said, voicing what everyone was thinking. Even if we divided the Lazarus Core's power output, we couldn't cover enough area to make a difference. Maya's augmented mind raced through possibilities, calculating odds, examining strategies. No, she agreed finally. We can't save them all. But we can make the Nexari pay. She brought up a holographic display of the manufacturing hub. These facilities are their linchpin. Without them, they can't produce new Void Cascade weapons. We have their complete schematics from the data we've gathered. We can destroy them. That would mean revealing ourselves, Elena cautioned. Once we attack, they'll know someone has the technology to oppose them. They already suspect, Maya countered. That's why they're accelerating their plans. Better to strike now, while we still have surprise on our side. The plan came together quickly. The Ghost Dawn's weapons weren't designed for brute force, they were precision instruments, quantum-tipped blades capable of severing the fabric of reality itself. They would only get one chance. Multiple Nexari warships in orbit, Kai reported. Standard patrol pattern. We'll have approximately 3 minutes between their sensor sweeps. Maya settled deeper into her neural command chair, feeling the ship's systems align with her consciousness. Begin attack sequence. Dr. Volkova, divert all power to weapons. We'll need the Lazarus Core at full capacity for our escape. The Ghost Dawn moved like its namesake, silent and deadly. Its first strike came from nowhere, a quantum-phased beam that cut through the largest facility's shields as if they weren't there. The explosion was spectacular, a cascade of failing containment fields that triggered a chain reaction through the facility's quantum infrastructure. Alarms screamed across the Nexari network. The crystalline warships above responded immediately, their formations shifting to attack positions. But they were firing at shadows, their advanced sensors confused by the Ghost Dawn's metamaterial hull and quantum distortion field. Second facility targeted, Maya announced, her voice steady as she guided the ship through a series of impossible maneuvers. Firing. Another precision strike, another devastating explosion. The Nexari ships were firing continuously now, their energy weapons filling space with deadly patterns. A glancing hit shook the Ghost Dawn, but its advanced shields held. 3 facilities down. 4. 5. Multiple quantum signatures incoming, James warned. They're calling in reinforcements. Heavy warships, at least 15. Maya felt sweat on her brow despite her neural regulators. How long on the last facility? 30 seconds to targeting solution, Kai replied. But those warships will be here in 20. Plot an escape vector, Maya ordered. But we're not leaving until that last facility is destroyed. The Ghost Dawn shuddered as another hit slipped through its defenses. Warning signals flashed through Maya's neural interface, shield strength dropping, hull integrity compromised in 2 sections. 15 seconds to targeting solution. The first of the heavy warships emerged from quantum space, massive crystalline structures that dwarfed their smaller cousins. Their weapons were already firing, filling space with deadly energies. 10 seconds. A direct hit rocked the ship. Emergency bulkheads sealed automatically as atmosphere vented from a breached section. 5 seconds. Maximum evasive. Maya commanded, pushing the ship's quantum drives to their limits. Target locked. The Ghost Dawn's final shot was perfect, a quantum lance that pierced the facility's heart. The explosion was different this time, a cascade of quantum energies that consumed the entire complex. All targets destroyed, Kai confirmed. But we're surrounded. Maya's augmented mind processed the tactical display in milliseconds. The Nexari had them boxed in, their heavy warships forming a three-dimensional net of overlapping fire zones. A conventional ship would have been destroyed instantly. But the Ghost Dawn wasn't conventional. Dr. Volkova, Maya called out, remember that theoretical maneuver we discussed? The one you said would probably kill us. The quantum fold. Elena's voice was steady despite the chaos around them. Yes. Still probably suicide. Better than certain death. On my mark, divert all power to the Lazarus core. Configure it for total quantum field manipulation. The ship bucked again as another hit landed. Hull breach warnings multiplied. Mark. For a moment, reality itself seemed to hesitate. The Ghost Dawn's quantum drive screamed as they forced open a hole not in space, but in possibility itself. Then they were through, leaving behind a brief glimpse of what looked like a ship folding through dimensions that shouldn't exist. They emerged 2 light-years away, systems damaged but intact. Behind them, the Nexari manufacturing hub burned, its capacity to produce void cascade weapons permanently destroyed. Damage report, Maya called out, fighting down nausea from the quantum fold. We're alive, Elena responded, a note of surprise in her voice. I honestly didn't expect that. But the Lazarus core is strained. We'll need repairs before we can attempt anything like that again. Maya nodded, reviewing the tactical data through her neural interface. They'd struck a decisive blow, but the war was far from over. The Nexari would be coming for them now, and for Earth. But they'd bought time, precious time for humanity to prepare. Set course for the rendezvous point, she ordered. And send a quantum burst to Earth Command. Message reads, production facilities destroyed. Phase 1 complete. The galaxy now knows the Nexari can bleed. The Ghost Dawn limped through quantum space, carrying with it the hope of countless civilizations who didn't even know they'd been saved. But Maya knew the hardest part was still to come. The Nexari would adapt, would learn from this defeat. And next time, they would be ready. The real question was, would humanity be ready too? The Ghost Dawn drifted in the shadow of a rogue planet deep in unclaimed space, its systems running on minimal power while repairs continued. Through her neural interface, Captain Maya Patel monitored her crew's efforts to restore the ship's capabilities. The quantum fold maneuver had taken a greater toll than expected. Tell me something good, Doctor, Maya called to engineering, where Elena Volkova had barely slept in 3 days. The Lazarus core is stable again, Elena reported, fatigue evident in her voice. But I found something in the data we collected during the manufacturing hub attack. Something that changes everything. Maya felt a familiar tension build at the base of her skull, her augments warning of elevated stress levels. Show me. The holographic display came to life, showing complex quantum formulas and energy patterns. Elena's voice grew animated despite her exhaustion. Look at the resonance patterns from their weapons. The void cascade doesn't just disrupt the quantum field, it redistributes it. They're not destroying life energy, they're harvesting it. The implications hit Maya like a physical blow. They're feeding on it. Exactly, Elena confirmed. Each mass extinction event powers their empire. It's not just genocide, it's consumption on a galactic scale. Before Maya could process this revelation, James Chen's voice cut through the ship's communications. Captain, priority transmission from Earth Command, quantum encrypted. The message materialized in Maya's augmented vision, and her artificial neural regulators struggled to maintain her heart rate. The Nexari had launched a full-scale invasion of Earth's outer colonies. The casualty reports were staggering. They're not waiting anymore, Kai Santos observed grimly. They're bringing the fight to us. Maya stood from her neural command chair, her mind racing through possibilities. Pull up everything we have on Nexary physiology and energy patterns. If they're feeding on quantum life energy, there has to be a point where it enters their systems. The next hours were a blur of analysis and revelation. The Ghost Dawn's advanced sensors had collected terabytes of data during their missions, and now they began to see the pattern. The Nexary's crystalline technology, their very bodies, were conduits for the harvested life energy. Here, Elena pointed to a particular frequency pattern. Their entire civilization resonates at this quantum frequency. It's how they distribute the energy they harvest. If we could disrupt that frequency, we could poison their entire system, Maya finished. Turn their own harvested energy against them. She paused, the weight of such a decision heavy in her augmented mind. How many of them would die? All of them, Elena said quietly. Their entire species has evolved to depend on this energy. Disrupting it would be like cutting off oxygen to a human. The command deck fell silent. The Ghost Dawn had been built to save lives, not commit xenocide. But the Nexary had left them no choice, it was them or every other living being in the galaxy. How do we do it? Maya asked finally. We'd need to modify the Lazarus core, Elena explained. Instead of generating a counterfield, we'd create a resonance cascade that would spread through their quantum network. But we'd have to get to their central distribution node, their homeworld. Which we've never been able to locate, Kai added. James spoke up from his communications station. Actually, I think I know how to find it. The quantum communications we've intercepted, they all pulse in patterns, like ripples in a pond. If we trace them back to their source. Maya's augmented mind quickly calculated the vectors. Plot the course. How long until we're fully operational? 6 hours, Elena reported. But Captain, there's something else. The resonance cascade, it would affect the Lazarus core too. We'd have maybe 30 seconds after activation before our own systems failed. A suicide mission, Maya said softly. We prefer to think of it as a galaxy-saving mission, Kai replied, his voice firm. With an unfortunate but necessary cost. Maya looked at her crew, the finest minds and bravest souls humanity had to offer. They had all known, on some level, that it might come to this. The Ghost Dawn had been built to save humanity, whatever the cost. Send a message to Earth Command, she ordered. Inform them of our findings and our plan. Tell them that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our determination. It's our willingness to sacrifice everything to protect not just ourselves, but all life. The Ghost Dawn's engines hummed to life, its quantum drive spinning up to full power. They had one chance to end this war, to save not just humanity, but countless species that would never know how close they came to extinction. As they prepared to jump to quantum space, Maya recorded her final log entry. The Nexary believed they could consume the galaxy's life force without consequences. They forgot that life itself fights back. And humanity? We're life's champions now. Its guardians. Its warriors. May whatever gods exist forgive us for what we must do. The ship vanished into quantum space, leaving behind no trace of its passage. Ahead lay the Nexary homeworld, and a decision that would reshape the galaxy forever. The Ghost Dawn's final mission had begun.